We are back with week number 7, and this is episode number 39 of the Fantasy Foolz podcast. And today we are going to dive into our week 7 preview, and we're going to get right into it, starting off with the bye week teams. We have the Bears and the Cowboys both on bye. That does mean that you will have to bench Dak, Lamb Ferguson, Caleb Swift, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Roma Dunze, and Cole Kmet, all of whom, at least on the Bears side, got you a lot of points last week. And on the Cowboys side, you expect a lot of points from. So make sure you're keeping up with those bye teams. And starting off with week 7, we've got the Denver Broncos and New Orleans Saints on a fairly boring, what I expect to be boring, Thursday Night Football matchup. On the Denver side, I think the only person you're going to consider playing is Sutton. I think you're going to flex Javonte Williams. And their defense, the New Orleans Saints, didn't seem like they had a great offense against the Bucs last week. On the New Orleans side, we talked about it last episode, you're really only starting Alvin Kamara. And in this matchup, I would start the defense, even though they got shattered by the Bucs. I don't expect the Broncos to do this. And you're also going to have to watch out for Olave and Shaheed, both of whom are injured. If they're healthy, you play them, but I don't expect them to be healthy for this next matchup.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I don't think Olave's consistent. Like, he's going to be a concussion. You're not going to see him. We don't know really much of anything about Shaheed right now, so that's a little bit upsetting. But if he is in and he's playing, I would feel very confident playing him because I think they're going to be taking some deep shots, especially with Surtain out. Moving on to the New England Jacksonville game. Talk about a game I am not excited for at all. The only thing I could really say I'm excited for about this is honestly just seeing, is it real? Let's see another game of Drake May, right? I mean, I thought he looked absolutely great in the first game. I'm excited to see what he can do with this offense, and hopefully Stevenson comes back from injury, and hopefully they can actually use him for something. But Pop Douglas, he's going to be a good play, just being a volume guy. One guy I want to also point out, Kayshon Boutte. I think I said that wrong, but I mean, Kayshon Boutte or whatever. He actually was an interesting person. He's been growing, like every single game. He's been gaining more and more snap counts, and he's becoming more and more involved in the offense. He's a young guy, 23 years old, I believe. He's a fairly decently sized, 5'11", just shy of 200 pounds. Had a really good game last week. Nah, he's solid. He's a solid guy, right? So I think he might actually be interesting to just watch. On the Jacksonville side, Brian Thomas Jr. is absolutely a lock again now. And finally, you're going to have Evan Engram go back into it because he had a great week coming off of injury. I expect the same again. Tank Bigsby, lock him in. Everyone else, I wouldn't touch.
And that's including Travis Etienne Jr. Definitely, I think we're at the point where you shy away fantasy-wise.
He's hurt.
I will say, it could be a sneaky trade knowing he's down to if you have that open bench spot, because I think you can buy him really low at this point because everyone expects Tank Bigsby to be the primary back. I don't expect Etienne to ever take over, but if you can get him real low for not much, it might be worth the stash.
Yes.
Man, moving on to the next matchup, we got Seattle versus Atlanta. Now, on Seattle's side of the board, you've got a few locks here. Geno, because he's got 3 stud receivers to pass it to, and he's been playing pretty well this season. You're probably starting him. And then Kenneth Walker. Man, talk about a guy who he was injured for a week, and he just came back strong and ready. I think it's pretty clear he's RB1 there, and it's Zach Charbonnet who. So then, if you got the receivers, really all 3 of them are playable and could have good weeks. They're all flex worthy, at least. Especially DK, if you drafted him, you're probably starting him because you probably took him the highest of these 3. So where you got him, you're probably starting him. On Atlanta's side of the ball, now that the running back room finally has some life, you know, they finally put up some points, both Bijan and Algier. They're possibly relevant moving forward, both of these 2. So you've got London, Bijan, Mooney. I'm probably starting all 3 of them. London and Bijan are getting close to set it and forget it status. They're not quite there, but they're close to locks. They're getting solid with Kirk. And then, especially for where you drafted them, Kirk Cousins, he looks like he could be a nice QB to have on your bench for that bye week for your starter. And Algier, If he's not picked up in your league, pick him up, because if Bijan goes down, he's ready to pick up the reins.
Oh, absolutely. He should be gone in every league. One what's interesting, we were just saying last episode how Bijan is like, really underperforming. We're kind of worried about him. You picked him as the RB2, possibly could be RB1 on the year. And he was like RB 18 to 22, depending on league formats. He's RB8 after that one dominant week last week. So just goes to show how quickly some of these things can change.
Yeah.
And DeAndre Swift, we've talked about him in the past. Like, a lot of things can change. Follow the hot hand.
Moving on to the Tennessee Titans versus Buffalo Bill game. I think the only confident start from this Tennessee side is Tony Pollard, who had a baller game last game.
Yeah,
he's the only person doing anything, and I think he's the only one you're going to start. I would say you're benching Ridley, you're benching Hopkins. At this point, I mean, I would even say Pollard is your guy, and I wouldn't even confidently start Tajay Spears, who we expected to take over this backfield. Tony Pollard just did it all, almost 100 rushing yards and a touchdown. Now, on the Buffalo side, you're starting Josh Allen. You're starting Amari Cooper, even though he's new in this offense. Amari Cooper is he's going to consistently get you points. You also could consider, not as confidently, starting Khalil Shakir, who was Allen's, I believe, favorite target. Now with Cooper in the offense, you might see that shift. But I think this also lowers the value of Curtis Samuel and Keon Coleman, as well as Khalil Shakir with this new trade.
I will say I think Cooper needs to be monitored, because there is a shot that he goes in and he's not like Devontae Adams. He's not going to the New York Jets that's run by Aaron Rodgers. There is a chance, and a decent chance, that he needs a week to get familiar with the playbook. He might just be somebody there who's going to be a distraction. If I have Amari Cooper, going to take that risk? No, I'm going to play him. But be mindful that this first week might be a little rough.
I agree. I think this kind of bumps Coleman out of relevance, because Shakir was clearly number one. So that's unfortunate if you got Coleman, but I think Shakir is still going to be relevant.
Yeah. Also monitor James Cook, right? Because James Cook, if he's hurt, then that's going to be a problem. But if he's just coming off, or if he's fully healthy, I mean, he's a lock-in start. And then Ray Davis instantly goes back to being, honestly, a bench piece. Moving on to the next game, though, Cincinnati-Cleveland. Cleveland has really shown to have pretty much nothing. They have no real offense. They really their defense wasn't as good as it was last year, and now they're losing Amari Cooper. So I have a feeling that this is going to be an absolute train wreck of a game. Cincinnati doesn't have a great defense, but they do have fantastic people on the offensive side of the ball. Zach Moss will be another week healthier, hopefully, so he should be someone you at least are monitoring. If he's out, though, or if he's even limited, Chase Brown's going to be a great play. Outside of that, Burrow, Chase, Higgins, they are complete locks, and you don't have to think about anybody else.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pretty much. On the next matchup, we've got Houston versus Green Bay. I think this matchup actually has quite a few locks. You've got Mixon, Stroud, and Diggs. With Nico Collins out especially, you're starting Stephon Diggs. He's a set it and forget it. Same with Stroud. And Mixon has proved that it was not the system with Cincinnati. He's just awesome, and he's still got it. I have no doubts with him.
He's doing awesome.
Yeah, I have no doubts with him. He's underappreciatedly consistent. On the other person,
that's
you're probably
not English.
He's underappreciated how consistent he is. Let's go with that.
There you go.
Now, you might also be playing Tank Dell. With Nico Collins out, you've got him there, and he's flex worthy. And then, then you've also got who's the tight end, Schultz, who he might also get some more passes with Nico Collins out. On the Green Bay side of the ball, you've got Jordan Love, Jaden Reed, Josh Jacobs. All three are locks, in my opinion. You're starting all of them. Love has just looked incredible. He's not top 5 right now in total points, only because he had those 2 weeks out. He is, I'm pretty sure, top 3 in average points per week, though. Now, Christian Watson and Dobbs, it looks like things have panned out more to what we thought they would be preseason. They've stepped up and been the 2 and 3 the past couple of weeks, while Wicks kind of fell back to his old patterns. I think I don't trust anyone besides the first three I mentioned, Love, Reed, and Jacobs, because you never know what you're gonna get. What do you
See,
guys
I
think?
do. I like those three. I like those
Yeah,
three a
me
lot.
too.
You
I
think they're
think
all flex
Dobbs.
worthy?
I think they are all flex worthy. I think Dobbs is still going to be the guy. I know he had his issues with the team, and he was
I think
basically
that's
being
the thing of the
that
past.
that greasy wheel. But I do. I think he's one of the guys who really earns his targets. And let's not forget, he was one of like the favorites for the red zone.
Yeah.
That's pretty much always been his role. So he's dangerous. Watson is a big play away from always being relevant. He's never going to be that guy who's going to get 7 or 8 catches and 60 yards on him. He's going to end up being that 60 yards on 3 catches and a touchdown.
Yeah, the
And
only one I
Love
worry
spreads
about
the
is
ball very
Dante.
well.
The only one I worry about flexing is Dontavian Wicks. He has underperformed this season, but I do believe you're right, Mike. I would trust Watson and Dobbs more. I would trust Dobbs, Watson, and Reed more than I would Wicks, but I think Wicks is a great person to stash away. Moving on to the Dolphins. Yep. What are you going to say?
Last other person, Tucker Kraft, had an off week, but I still think he's a starter.
Yeah, he's proven that he's absolutely a start.
I agree. Moving on to the Dolphins versus the Colts. On the Miami side, you're unconfident.
You're done. You're done.
Yeah. I mean, really, this Miami Dolphins offense, I feel so bad because Tua is still out. He is on IR, which means he's not even in the window to clear yet. And this was a bye week that he's just coming off of. So maybe he'll start week 8. But that being said, Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, I hate to say it, but they're flexes. And the only guy that I'm really going to start is Raheem Mostert. You're right. I know you're going to say you're going to consider benching them, and I don't disagree with you.
I have them on my bench. I have them on my bench in our Dynasty League. In our Foolz League, I have guys like Trey Tucker playing over Jalen Waddle, and I feel better about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
I 100% with you.
I think like we all kind of crapped on Tua being a mediocre quarterback. I think these past few weeks have shown us, holy crap, is Tua actually really good at getting it to fast guys?
I mean, he's proven that he's
very valuable.
He can do what he needs. He can do what he needs to get the job done. And you know what? It's also showing that Tyreek, Jalen Waddle, guys who are super skilled, maybe aren't completely
quarterback.
They're not completely quarterback proof. Like they might actually need somebody.
Yeah. And I agree. I think the one person I'm confidently starting is Devon Achane. You draft him where you draft him. Running backs are tight this season. You're going to play him. Another guy to flex less confidently as long as Achane's back. He is not confirmed back yet, but as Raheem Mostert did have a great game in week 5. He netted you, I think, about 14 fantasy points or so. Almost 14. He had 80 rushing yards. So definitely a guy also look out. From the Colts side, honestly, it's contingent on one thing. Who is their quarterback? If Anthony Richardson's quarterback, honestly, I don't think I'm going to start Pittman or Downs because I don't believe them. You might have a dart throw with Alex Pierce because Richardson does love those deep bombs and Pierce is the beneficiary of them. The only guy I'm confidently starting if Richardson is back is Jonathan Taylor. I don't even think I think I'd still bench Richardson just knowing how he's just coming off injury. He's easily injured. I'd bench him.
I 100% agree, but honestly, the one person you don't even have to worry about listing is if Anthony Richardson comes back, Michael Pittman's going to will himself onto the IR. So you're fine there. Like he's going to be like, nope, sorry, I'll collect my money elsewhere. Got to save myself my career. But moving on to the next game, Detroit, Minnesota. I think this. What do you do here? 2 offensive powerhouses. I am actually so excited for this, and I wish this was like a game of the week. In fact, I actually think it might be game of the week.
This is my game of the week, honestly.
This is my game of the week too. I think
your upset of the week, Tyler.
I don't know who the upset is. Who's the money line?
It would technically be Detroit. Because dude, you got to think Minnesota's got an awesome defense and they're undefeated.
That's fair. Tyler's looking it up, but let me break it down real quick.
I'm pretty sure they're minus 2.5.
So Detroit, you have, Jared Goff. You got Jahmyr Gibbs, Monty, Amon-Ra. And honestly, that's not even counting for Jameson Williams. Like, they have offensive powerhouses at every position. I think they're doing absolutely great. One who we don't even have listed on our top 5 weapons, Sam Laporta, who I promise you, he will come around. He will be relevant. And I am not going to be surprised at all if it is this game. On the other side of the ball, you have Minnesota. Justin Jefferson still there. Aaron Jones is hopefully back just because I want to see him back because I need him on my fantasy lineup, to be honest. And if not, Ty Chandler looks fine. I mean, like, he's not going to be able to do all the things that Aaron Jones can do. He's not that skilled, but he's still good. He's still a very fast young player, and I'm excited for him. And let's see if Sam Darnold can still keep it up. I mean,
against
he's been
a
doing
decent
great.
defense, yeah.
Against a decent defense, a decent rush defense, admittedly, but against a decent defense. Jordan Addison, he's a play. I'm less optimistic about Jordan Addison this week, personally, but at the same time, I could see a path where I'm wrong. Like,
yeah,
I could see a path where Detroit is putting up so many points that they have to throw the ball a lot, and I could see Addison doing well, but I do tend to think more conservatively on his expectations.
Yeah, the only thing I would worry about if Aaron Jones is not back starting Ty Chandler, and I worry and I don't at the same time because Detroit does have a great rush defense. The only thing is they were weak against Kenneth Walker when the Seattle Seahawks were throwing him the ball. So I do think there is an opportunity for Ty Chandler to perform here because Chandler's always been a pass catching back. And if they're able to work that into the offense, we may see him succeed. This is one where I'm not confident, but if Chandler's the primary back, I almost have to start him if there's because of the buys and
it's
injuries.
A very Chase Brown situation in that case. Then, like, it's the same type of thing. Like, it's Tyler Chandler and Chase Brown are going to be like great plays if their actual lead guy is not there.
Yep, but this is why you have Chandler on your bench, right, to fill these gaps.
Yes, 100%.
Last point to something Mike brought up: how many points are the Detroit Weapons going to score? Minnesota, yes, they are 5-0. However, in points against, they're, I think, 30th against wide receivers. They're like bottom 3 in the or most amount of points given to wide receivers in games.
Because teams have to pass against them, and
they're 7th against the tight end. So they've been giving up a lot of points to the tight end this season. So
yeah, and just to say it before we end and go to the next matchup. The Lions are the underdogs, or the under-Lions.
No, please don't do that again. But
wow,
I'm going to give you your moment. Are you gonna do it?
No, okay. This is easy. Detroit's going to win. That's not even worth making mine.
Yeah, nope. I do think that this might be Minnesota's first loss.
Detroit looks so good against the Cowboys. Come on.
They lost agree. Hutchinson, though, and that's a big deal to their defense.
That is.
Moving on to the next matchup, though, we got Philadelphia versus New York Giants. Now, on Philadelphia's side of the ball, because my Giants are just so damn great, you're probably starting all their offense weapons. You've got Hurts, Brown, Barkley, Devonta. Barkley had a mediocre week last week. That's his off week. As to be expected. No one is like top 5 every week. He's going to bounce back. This is a revenge
Derrick
game.
Henry is.
This is the game to start Saquon.
Yes, the revenge game.
Dude, he's finally going to win a game in MetLife. So I couldn't resist. Now, you're also starting Devonta and Brown because they have potential to both be top 12. Now, you've also got Dallas Goedert. He's probably not going to be as involved now that A.J. Brown and Devonta are there.
I think he's on the IR.
Oh, is he? He's out. Okay, so you're definitely not starting him.
He's out.
Him out. Anyway.
Wait,
now,
who?
Dallas Goedert is out. He's not confirmed that he's going to play this game.
Okay. Yeah. So even if he does play, I wouldn't start him. Then on New York side of the ball, you only got one locked-in starter, and that's if he's healthy. Malik Neighbors. If he's back from concussion protocol, which I would be surprised if he isn't, he's a locked-in starter. Now, the other person is Tyron Tracy. As long as Devin Singletary is out, and even if Devin Singletary comes back, I think Tyrone Tracy is still going to provide you flex value, especially on weeks that you have RBs on bye weeks. He's a great guy to have on your bench for that reason.
I'm not going to be surprised if Malik Neighbors is out for a month.
I wouldn't either.
Not.
Really?
He is their superstar, and they have now seen it. They can prove it. And I said it last podcast. I said it right when it happened. I said it right away. He needed to be taken out after that first play. I cannot believe they didn't do it. I can't believe the NFL allowed him to go out. And they continued to throw him the ball, and he got hit 3 more times. He got up slower and slower every time. It is not a good concussion. This is a bad concussion. I'm really, really worried about him.
Man, we shall see.
I agree. Moving on to our first matchup of the afternoon Sunday games, we have the Las Vegas Raiders versus the Los Angeles Rams. I don't really want to talk about this game. I mean, Brock Bowers and Kyron Williams, that's about it. You might be able to flex
a Vegas Raiders team without Devontae Adams.
Yeah, you might be able to flex Jacoby Myers, Alexander Madison. I still don't feel great going into it, but other than that, from the Rams side, I don't think I want to start anyone unless Kupp is healthy. If he returns, I'd start Kupp. You could also look at Colby Parkinson, the tight end. Jordan Whittington is a shot in the dark, but I'm not really going in this excited.
I think you guys are not giving Madison the credit he's deserving. He's a top 24 running back right now, and he started out the season as a backup, and now he's going to be the starter. I don't think you guys are giving him anywhere near enough credit. He's actually been a point producer, and I think he's a solid
just defending
flex.
his own trade.
No, my trade was not as bad as you guys make it sound in any way, shape, or form. But that being said, go ahead, look it up. He's the number 24 running back right now. And now he's going to be a starter.
I just worry. That's all. I worry about this Raiders offense, especially with O'Connell behind the helm. I really think we talked about it last episode. I don't want to talk about it too much, but I think they're missing out without having Minshew behind the helm.
That's fine. That's fine. And I mean, I think it's going to be really sad without Minshew, but you're right. We can move on. We can move on to Carolina, Washington. Talk about a game which going into this season, no one would have been excited for, except now everyone is excited for it. I mean, Jaden Daniels looks amazing. Now he's also bringing Brian Robinson Jr. up as long as he's healthy. Terry McLaurin has been fantastic. But now you're also saying Austin Eckler? That guy came out of nowhere, right? Nah. He was, I really believe, you made a joke about it earlier, Tyler. I believe Austin Eckler was hurt all year last year, and that's why he looked so slow. He looks fast. He looks electric. He looks really slippery. You can't touch him. He's absolutely looking great. So I think Washington is going to really run away with this one, which is really going to hurt Chuba. I think Chuba is not going to get anywhere near the opportunities he's going to need to because they're just not going to be able to run the ball. I think it's going to end up being a Dalton and Deontay Johnson show. That being said, I'm sure Chuba's going to be a play. He's going to still probably be your top 24 just because his workload has been great and he have involved him in the passing game, but he's not going to be putting up that top 12 week, in my opinion.
Yeah,
man. It's
Go ahead, Jordan. Go ahead. Say I'm defending my trade again.
No, I mean, I said it. Do you need me to repeat it?
I do, apparently, because that's what I'm waiting for.
Moving on to the next game, we've got a Super Bowl rematch, which I know we said Detroit, Minnesota might be the game of the week. This also could be the game of the week. Now, I think that you're pretty much starting everyone in this game. I know we've been talking a lot about how Mahomes has been performing outside the top 12. I think that it's going to change. I don't think consistently, but it'll change for this week because San Francisco can score a ton of points. So I think this is going to be a high-scoring game between two pretty good offenses. I think on Kansas City side, you're starting Kelsey and Mahomes, and you're probably throwing in Worthy in the flex. On San Francisco side of the ball, I'm pretty confident starting Purdy, Debo, Kittle, and I'm unconfidently probably starting Ayuk.
And I think you can add Jordan Mason there too. Coming off the injury, if he is week to week, I think it's a good idea. I think it's a good idea to get Grendo off the waiver wires this week, who could be the primary back if Mason misses time. And I don't know about you guys, but I would probably spend, if you're in Fab system, I would probably spend about maybe 10%, 15% on him because he's only going to be your running back while Mason's out. I wouldn't spend too much to pick him up. Moving on to the Jets-Pittsburgh game, our Sunday night football matchup. We talked about it a lot. This Pittsburgh Steelers team and Justin Fields. I wish they would start Justin Fields, but they're probably going to be going Russell Wilson to start, and I think you're benching him. You're starting Najee Harris. I definitely think he's picked up. I think Jaylen Warren might be moving into flex category. I know he's back. Hopefully he's healthy now. On the Jets side, you are starting Garrett Wilson to Devontae Adams. They're going to be throwing the ball. I think from a non-confident side, you're looking at Allen Lazard or Tyler Conklin, who might get past the ball. But now there's so many options for Rodgers to throw to. I also think Rodgers is going to be a good flex this week. Pittsburgh's got a rough defense, but I don't hate the matchup too bad, especially with all the weapons the Jets have. We just need the Jets' offensive line to hold up.
I agree. I actually really like this matchup, especially with the addition of Devontae Adams, Garrett Wilson still there, Allen Lazard still there. I think Rodgers going to have a fantastic game because Pittsburgh's defense, they're great. And honestly, the Jets' offensive line is not great, but I think they're going to really do their best to try and help out their quarterback. And I think this is really going to hurt the running game. So that I could see Breece Hall being a potential problem this week.
Yes, I agree. And that's why I would even say he's unconfidently start or flex, given his history.
You can't sit Breece Hall, but
No.
I would be lowering expectations for here for sure. What do you think of Najee Harris in this one?
I think you're starting Najee Harris.
I think you start him.
I think he's without a doubt
Yeah.
a start, in my opinion. I mean,
I also do think that we're going to see Garrett Wilson continue to be the number one there, and he's going to put up more points the second half of the season.
I think with Adams, though, I worry.
Then he has his for the first half of the season. I think he puts up
more
points
over
Devontae
Adams.
Possibly.
I don't think that. I don't even think that's going to be remotely close.
Dude,
I think Devontae Adams is going to absolutely be the alpha.
Nathaniel Hackett is not play calling.
I think Garrett Wilson is going to have a better second half in terms of fantasy points.
Nathaniel Hackett is not calling the plays, so I think they're going all to Devontae Adams because they know he's going to catch the ball.
We'll see.
So I disagree, and I guess I'll move on real quick after this. But I think that Wilson just hasn't been on the same page with Rodgers. The frustration has amounted, but like Wilson was the only option he really had outside of Lazard, who is clearly not as talented as Wilson. Now he has someone who is just as talented, who he's also built an entire repertoire with. Adams is going to be the preferred target. Lazard is not going away. And I think it's going to really take away from touches from Wilson, who has not proven to catch. It's not like he's catching 75% of the pass thrown as well.
Right.
He's really getting like a middling like 60% or 62%. So now you cut down the targets. I think it's going to really hurt. But again, we got to move on to the next game. And I'm going to go into another game. Like this is the third game I'm really, really excited for. I still think the Minnesota-Detroit game is going to end up being the game of the week, but I think this one's going to be really, really solid as well. Baltimore versus Tampa Bay. Lamar Jackson, I mean, it's just I'm gaining more and more respect for him as the years go on. He's just so good. Zay Flowers has proven to be a solid receiver, and King Henry is King Henry. I have him in so many leagues that I think I'm just going to like die on when he goes down and he's like no longer a playable person. I think I need to give up fantasy. So sorry guys, I'm giving you that like heads up now. On the Tampa Bay side, I'm talking about the not number one, but the number 2 overall quarterback in fantasy, Baker Mayfield. Yes, I just said Baker Mayfield. He's been electric. He's throwing the ball a lot to both Chris Godwin and Mike Evans, producing points left and right. On top of them, I still love Bucky Irving in this. I still actually even like Rachaad White if he comes back, just because I do think he's going to be a volume play. I don't think Sean Tucker is going to be a thing. I don't think he's going to be a thing this year. I think it's going to be a future play. But he will be around and he will be present as long as Rachaad White is out. So
how much do you spend on Fab to pick up Sean Tucker? Because I don't believe anyone's got him on the roster in any leagues.
You are probably right, and I would be willing to spend. I'm probably not willing to spend all that much, maybe 10 or 15% in a dynasty format, because I still think that no matter what, Bucky Irving is going to be ahead of him.
Yeah, he's rostered in 34% of leagues. I think he could be a good stash because you don't know what's happening, Rachaad White, but I'm with you. In your redraft leagues, you're not going to spend much on him, and your dynasty leagues, I think you're going to put up a little bit more, like your 10 to 15%.
Yeah.
Just to have him stashed for next season when I believe Rashad White goes bye-bye.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah.
Also, just want to point out, Jordan, before you get into Chargers Cardinals, there are 2 Monday Night Football games again.
Yeah.
I know.
8:15 and 9 p.m. What are you doing, NFL?
Well, 9 p.m. is somewhere else. Aren't they like still in London or something like that?
No, they're in San Francisco, the San Francisco area. They're either at Chargers or Cardinals.
Well, I mean, if they're in San Francisco area, I assume that's Chargers.
I don't know where. They're in Arizona.
Okay.
Either way, it's West Coast.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pacific time. So moving on to the next game, which, as it's already been said, Chargers Cardinals. So we have the Chargers. Really, I think we're sticking with what we've been talking about from last episode. The running backs are really the most fantasy relevant part of this team. Dobbins, starter. Kamani Vidal, what do you guys think? I think he's. I want to see it again from him before I trust him, but he might be flex worthy.
Yeah.
Especially
he didn't do much.
Gus Edwards.
He had 4 attempts for 11 yards and 2 receptions, which got him the points.
I'm not getting high.
I'm not high
Vidal's not a thing yet.
No.
Vidal,
Yeah, exactly. I
mean,
want to see it again, but there's hope that he could become more involved, especially because Gus Edwards is not working.
Like, I don't think it's like you just heard my opinion of Sean Tucker, and I would take Sean Tucker 3 times before I took Vidal. Like, it's not there yet.
Man, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I might actually take Vidal because I think that Jim Harbaugh likes to actually run by running back by committee, and Gus Edwards is not the guy. I think Kim Vidal might get more opportunities moving forward. But we'll see. He's still not a definite starter. On Arizona's side of the ball, I think you have 3 definite starters. You have Kyler, who I think because of his legs and how well he can play, you're probably starting him even though Marvin Harrison Jr. might be out. James Conner, same thing. He's been very good and consistent this season. And I think you got to start McBride. He's a lock. If Harrison's out, he's probably going to be Kyler's favorite target.
He's a lock when he's in.
He's a lock in. He's a lock out. So, yeah, that's what I say. Now, what do you guys think? Like, anyone else on Arizona's side you're starting?
No, but I think I am starting Ladd McConkey on the Chargers side with Quentin Johnson out. There's one less wide receiver to pick up receptions. So I think I would say more confidently than unconfidently, I would start Ladd McConkey, especially against this Arizona defense.
Know why I don't love that because he's still spreading the ball around, right? But Justin Herbert doesn't throw the ball very much. Like, even his max amount of passing attempts this year have been 34 max.
But that was against the Broncos, so maybe we're seeing it come back.
I don't know.
Ladd McConkey had 8 targets last game against the Broncos. 8. He caught 4, but he also went out with injury and did come back, but he wasn't fully healthy going in that game. So I think if he's healthy, he's a start.
I have my reservations, but.
I have reservations too, but we'll move on. We'll go to dual. Ty?
Not yet. I want to just say I missed it, but for the Baltimore Ravens Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, this is my upset of the week. I think Tampa Bay is going to pull ahead of the Ravens. The Ravens are on a roll, but I think the Bucs are going to win. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but Baker's going to pull it out, cross my fingers, and I think I'm actually going to start him this week, and I kept not, but he's number 2. How do you not? But anyway, Jordan,
he's a lock-in start.
He's reached much start status, I think, especially going against New Orleans, who going into that game was ranked 4th against quarterbacks in fantasy points, and he destroyed them.
Yeah.
Man, but we'll go on to Duel of the Fools. Now, as you guys know, it's matchups between 2 fantasy relevant players, and we take our picks. Who's going to win? Now, the first matchup for quarterbacks is Jaden Daniels, who's playing against Carolina Panthers, or Jordan Love taking on Houston. Personally, I think Jordan Love's going to outscore Jaden Daniels.
I've got Jaden Daniels. The matchup is just too juicy with this Commanders offense.
I agree. I'm actually going to go with Jordan Love, but I do understand your point, Tyler, and I think the reason it's so juicy is going to be the reason why whoever the running back is, they're going to love this, and it's not going to be as much Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, this was a hard one for me because I think both are going to have awesome weeks. I just think that Jordan Love is going to have to throw more touchdowns going up against Houston's offense.
I agree. I think Jordan Love has been really, really good, and he's going to be in a shootout. I agree with that, Jordan.
RB1 matchup, we got Chuba Hubbard, who's going against Washington, and then on the other side we got Bijan Robinson, who's taking on Seattle. This one you might look at and think like, oh, there's an obvious pick, but they've been pretty even in their averages this season. So, Mike,
They have. And honestly, I think I'm gonna go with Chuba Hubbard. I know it's close. I think both of them are going to be fairly low scoring, to be honest. I think Bijan Robinson has a good defense he's going against, and Chuba Hubbard is going to be in a shootout, and it's going to end up being him not really getting a whole lot of volume, but I still think Hubbard's going to take away.
And I agree with you. I went with Hubbard.
I went Bijan. I think he's finally clicking with Kirk clicking. Better quarterback play leads to better running back play. Now, RB2 matchup, we got Alexander Madison taking on the LA Rams, or Bucky Irving taking on Baltimore. I personally have Bucky. I like this guy. He's getting more and more involved every week. If Rachaad White's out again, that's even better. I think he's going to outscore Alexander Madison.
I like Bucky Irving's talent. I don't like it against the matchup. The matchup is what did it for me, so I chose Alexander Madison against the Rams. Like I already told you, I think Alexander Madison is underappreciated this year, and I think he, being a starting role, is going to do very well against the Rams.
Yeah. I have Alexander. Yeah. I picked Madison.
Madison. RB3 matchup. Yeah. We got Kenneth Walker taking on Atlanta, or Joe Mixon taking on Green Bay. Across the board, we all chose the same person here, actually. Joe Mixon. I think he's just going to have to be very involved. He had an awesome comeback from his injury. Nothing
and
against
he
Kenneth
looks
Walker.
Really good. I hate to say it, but he looks good.
He looks good. Not that Kenneth Walker doesn't.
Very good.
And another matchup, I expect both to have awesome games.
To be honest, this is a tough one because I really like Kenneth Walker. I think he's actually looked way better than I ever remember him. But Joe Mixon is just he's an asset to this offense that is just unmatched.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wide receiver matchup 1. We got Terry McLaurin, who's taking on the Panthers, versus Deebo Samuel taking on KC, which is, man, that's we all went with the same one. This one was really tough. We all ended up choosing, though, Terry McLaurin, I think because of the matchup. Right?
Exactly.
It's too juicy.
Terry McLaurin is going to get the first 2 quick touchdowns, then they're going to run the ball.
That's a really good prediction, actually. I like that a lot. Wide receiver matchup 2, we got Zay Flowers taking on Tampa Bay, or Deontay Johnson going up against Washington. Personally, I had Zay.
Yeah, I didn't. I had Deontay Johnson, and the Commanders are going to get points early, and I think Andy Dalton is going to have to throw the ball. And the Washington defense isn't the best. They have a lot of holes, so I think this is going to be the time. And I also don't like the matchup for Zay versus the Bucks. Just not. I don't feel it. I think they're going to run the ball.
So I thought the same thing, Ty, and I do think they run the ball. But we just saw the Bucks put up 51 points against the Saints, and you can't beat that running the ball. At some point, you need deep passing, and I think this is just going to simply be a game where the game script needs Zay Flowers to make some big catches.
Yeah.
See, I'm with you, Tyler. I chose Deontay, and I think he's going to end up just voluming his way through it. I think Deontay's a good play here.
We shall see. Now, wide receiver matchup 3. Okay, you've got 2 studs in the NFC North. That's why I like this matchup, actually. Amon-Ra St. Brown taking on Minnesota Vikings in a divisional matchup. And Jaden Reed, number 1 wide receiver in Green Bay, going up against Houston's defense. Tyler, who you got?
I went with Amon-Ra. He is not only a Lion, but I do think the Minnesota Vikings defense has holes, and I think Amon-Ra is going to find them. And he's been consistent, but I think this is going to be his best week of the season so far.
I hope so. That'd be exciting.
I ended up going with you. I'm with Jaden Reed. I really like this, and I think Houston's going to put up a shootout, and I think Green Bay's going to end up wanting to do the same.
Man, Yeah, go. Yeah, Jaden Reed. Yeah, I think it's going to be a shootout. Now, tight end matchup. It's going to be Trey McBride going up against the LA Chargers, or Brock Bowers going up against the LA Rams. Who we got?
Yeah, I went with Brock Bowers. He's the only one on this Raiders offense who is getting the ball, and I think he's just going to volume ahead of Trey McBride. Even with Marvin Harrison Jr. out, I think Brock Bowers he just gets the volume. He's the only one getting anything.
I 100% agree with you, and I think this is a very tough matchup because I think you could say the exact same thing about the other side of the ball.
Yeah,
Trey McBride has
true.
the exact same thing with Marvin Harrison Jr. out. They do like throwing the ball to Michael Wilson, but I do think Trey McBride is going to be your guy. He sees at least 8 targets a game, it seems like, and he catches almost all of them. I think he finally gets into the end zone, and it's going to end up being a Trey McBride show.
I do think that these two, you're absolutely right, Mike. Their situations are very comparable. I really only went with Bowers because of the matchup. LA Rams has been a little injury prone on the defensive side of the ball. They've been giving up a lot of points. If they were playing, if Brock Bowers had a better defense to go up against this week, I would have chose McBride, no problem. But I think Bowers kind of cooks against the Rams.
I was torn between the two of them. But I ended up going McBride. So we'll see. We'll see which one comes out.
All right, that concludes the Duel of the Fools.
That is Duel of the Fools, and that was episode 39. Thanks for joining, and good luck in your fantasy weeks. Let's hope that you all win, which can't possibly happen. So have a good night.
But it can if you listen to us.
See you next week, Fools. Later.